Ada from Poison Rock, and for my honor, and as well, I think it's a very pleasure to everyone. We have with us Ryan from Municipal Waste. How are you, Ryan?
I'm great. Yeah. Happy
That's
to be here. Yeah.
that's really an honor. And of course, I want to ask you, because like I was mentioning before, I really started my music, listening to music with one of the first band were Municipal Waste in 2001. So let's go back in time and just a little short how Municipal Waste started in 2001, just like the beginning of everything.
Yeah. I mean, I actually started it in 2000. I was doing shows at my house. I lived in like this really punk rock house that, I had transient roommates and they would bring trash from outside. And we did really crappy shows in this garage behind my house. And there'd be instruments laying around like a makeshift drum kit. And I would just
Yeah.
go out back, because I played guitar a little bit and bass, and I would go and just jam with whoever was like flopping on my couch, and whether they could play drums or not, and we used to jam with this band,
Yeah.
PCP Roadblock, and they were kind of like a Gigi Allen style band in Richmond. They couldn't play anywhere but my house, really. So the drummer or the singer of that band, Bobby, would hop on drums, and I would just play real shitty like Sepultura covers, and we would just make stuff up. But started to form it into a band, and I had the idea of Municipal Waste. It's all the trash in the city, and it's
Yeah.
basically,
That
we're
would
living
be.
in squalor in this really crappy punk rock house. I was like, well, that's kind of a suiting name for it. I think I'd seen a trash truck drive by. I was like, well, there's the band name.
That's
And
the good name for here where
yeah,
because Sicily is fucking full of trash. That's good.
yeah, right.
When
And
it's on West Island, yeah.
and I tried out a bunch of people on bass and drums and even some singers and stuff, and nothing. It was just real loose, and nothing really came to shape. And Tony had a band called JRS, James River Scratch, and they were a local band in Richmond. And I was always really like taken by them and like his style. He seemed like a really good, funny front man. So me and him had kind of talked about doing a band. He moved to California for a short period. I was starting this thing up. He ended up back in Richmond, and I'm like, we should just be doing this together. This is like, you're the only one that knows about this project, and it just made sense. And from right there, I mean, that's when it really took, form. And my best friend from high school played bass, Andy Harris, and this guy Brendan. People always think there was one drummer named Brandon, but there was a guy named Brendan before that. And he and I were in a band together, and he was just like a guitar player playing drums, and so it was Brendan, me, Andy, and Tony became the first lineup.
First lineup.
And then we've changed members. Obviously, got this guy Brandon on drums, who's not with us anymore, and he really shaped the band with us and kind of got us the style we're playing now, like from Waste 'Em All. And then of course we got Dave and Phil
Yeah,
in
of course.
2004, and then we were really like hitting the road, going overseas, and
Yeah, of
it
course.
was,
And you got
what
like
you see now is still that lineup. And then Nick, my best friend now, is on second
yeah,
guitar. So I mean, it's like a five piece now, and we've been touring the world, and
yeah.
having a great time.
Yeah, yeah,
It's too long of a history, but yeah, there you go.
yeah.
That was, back at, that's
Like,
20, almost 23 years ago now. It's crazy.
oh my God, that's 23 years. I feel really old. So because I was like 14 when I
Yeah.
started, I remember there
Well,
was
I was
like
20 when it started, so
yeah,
I've been doing it half my life. It's
yeah,
crazy.
because just I found out the first. I think it was a beginning because there was some song of yours like all this compilation of the underground band coming from North Seas. So we just that's how I met you from. But of course, I want to speak. I mean, if we focus speaking about each album you made, we probably talk until dawn. So just,
Right.
I mean, just speaking about really the difference from West Mall, and we can say before talking about the last one, Slime and Punishment. So which can be the mainly different. Of course, I think there is a, like growing up differences, but like just the topic, the work in the mastering of all the writing as well, the music, like technically of the part of the music itself.
So was there a question in there? I heard
Yeah,
you talk about all the albums.
just like the main differences between the first
Oh, well,
album West Mall until Slime and
yeah, I mean, I think any band should evolve, and
yeah,
we've stayed pretty close to the formula of, punk and metal mixed together, and I think that's what's is important that stayed there. You know, like anytime I feel like we would write a metallic riff, we'd have like a punk riff behind it, something simple to keep it, you know, raw in that aspect, you know. And then I obviously it got more technical more for the last couple records because there's two guitars now, and I think that's the biggest difference because there's Nick and myself playing, and he's a very proficient lead player. So I was never a big lead guitar player. I was always like a bass player playing guitar. That's how I always felt.
Yeah, I mean, so
But
basically,
now,
you started as bass player. I mean,
yeah, I was first a
live,
bass player, not in this band, but in every other band I've always played bass. But yeah, I feel like it's, you know, obviously gotten a little more technical, but we never really forgot about the roots of it. And I think that's important.
Yeah, of course. And from a lot of fun, we can say that your main, you know, piece, most famous piece, like I said, I don't want to say like your battlefield horse, it is Art of Parting. Do you agree with that, or you think that's more maybe?
I mean,
yeah.
I think that's the one where people really caught attention to us, and
Yeah.
I think that just comes with being at the, you know, I guess we could call it the third album, full length album. It was like more of a breakthrough album, I think, and a lot of people gravitated to it. My turning point was Hazardous Mutation, still always my favorite, because I felt like we had a lot to prove on that record.
Yeah.
To us, you know, and to the people that knew about our band. It was like a big deal to sign to Earache, I think, coming from more of a DIY kind of punk roots. So I think that was like, we had something to prove. We wanted to show that we're still, you know, the same band. And with the new lineup, I mean, it was just me and Tony when we signed that deal left in the band, you know, and it was, you know, it was a lot on our shoulders. And, you know, with the new lineup, that's still the current lineup, I think that was like a big turning point to have Phil and Dave in the mix.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, people can pick their favorite record. I like that it's different, you know, that people have their own opinion. It's hard for me to say, but
yeah, of course.
I think Art of Parting was, I would call it like a more of a breakthrough for people.
Yeah. And of course, and just coming back to just let's talk about the last album, Electrified Brain, which basically as well a kind of turning point, or am I wrong? Like you go more to like a changing of a sound, more mature in itself, in the aspect, in the lyrics wise as too.
Yeah, well, I think we had a lot more time to work on that one, and that's why that came into place. And we've spaced a lot of the releases out. You know, it's like it's hard to like just pump a record out and go on tour and then write and record, and that's what we were doing for almost 20 years. So I think the pandemic, the fact that slowed everything down, let us have the time to do it. And there's a lot of people, you know, everyone brought something to the table. You know, I wrote lyrics for 3 or 4 of the songs, and you know, everyone, like Nick wrote stuff that, you know, we hadn't been working on before. Phil's always contributed, obviously Tony and Dave, and everyone bring their own thing to the table. So I think a lot of, you know, you got 5 people putting input, so I think there's gonna be a lot of diversity there. So and time to work on it. And some of the stuff is like older material that we reworked, like a song like Demoralizer. We had that for beginning of Slime and Punishment, and it just wasn't right. And we just ended up waiting until the next record, and then it kind of fell into place. So
it was a little bit hard, of course. I think, imagine working on a new album during that horrible period that all we remember, we can say.
Yeah. We were due to do one anyway, but I think just having the time to put into it and like think about it actually worked to our advantage. And then we actually had to wait for the world to open back up to even release it. So we sat on that record for another year or two because of the pressing plants not being on time. But you know, everyone in the whole world had to deal with this shit. So, you know, we're not special at all. So everyone had to wait, and we're just happy to be back doing it, you know.
Yeah, exactly, because I think people want more of Municipal Waste. And of course, just I think as well, I mean, I don't want to label Municipal Waste because I was a teenager listening, you know, hardcore punk. I didn't know what metal was, and you were there. Growing up, you were still there, and I was listening. So I didn't want to pick just in a label. But if we have to think, in your opinion, like which is the core, like a song, which is the core of the sound of Municipal Waste? If there is one or multiple one, of course, as well.
I don't think there's one song, you know, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, do I have to pick one? I mean, I can just throw you a song. We always say unleash the bastards.
5.
Unleash the bastards is something that we kind of brought the two worlds together, with the new lineup. But I mean, we just call it speed metal punk. It's always going to be punk rock at the end of the day, really, with attitude and our ethics too. I think a lot of metal bands maybe don't have that upbringing, and when you do, it's great. And if you can put them together, even better,
Yeah, in fact, and just taking a look and at the time that you begin, of course, to play and record until today. I mean, what changes do you see? Like, for example, in the live, or as well in just even just to putting out a record. In your point of view, of course, digitally changed as well, but as well in the live and the concert, did you see any changes at all? People more involved, or just the same?
Well, you got to throw the whole pandemic in there too. So there was a period where it's like we're going out and it's like our people are afraid to touch each other or breathe on each other. So just the fact that that's getting a little more back to I want to say till the way it used to be is exciting. I think there's a lot of pent up aggression and and not necessarily anger, but you want to have that positive outlet that music is for a lot of people. Yeah. And that was just building in a lot of people, and I feel like now it's exploding again. So yeah, and that's great for a band too, because wanting to be able to play, and then for anyone that loves to go to concerts. I mean, imagine how long we had to wait to do it again. So it's an exciting time. And it makes you appreciate what you had,
And after the for example the pandemic, you came back already to perform live.
Yeah, we've been playing.
That was the first time you actually.
Yeah, I mean, you can't describe it. I think a lot of people went through that. And we always have a lot of crowd involvement. And people on the stage and stuff. And maybe it wasn't even safe when we started playing again. But who's going to be the judge? You don't. No one's really to blame.
No, of course now it's just we have to be enjoy the freedom that we have, and I think that's even come more people with the time.
Yeah, and there's still people that don't want to go back out anymore. So I mean, the world's changed forever,
Yeah, I think you will always change forever. But of course, I mean, in all your career, there was a kind of really nice collaboration with Trauma Entertainment that I saw. So I started with this collaboration with Trauma Entertainment, which is because it's famous for these gore splatter things outside, video movies. How it started, because it's really nice. And
well, for me, like the basis of the band is like a trauma movie, when if you look at Toxic Avenger or Street Trash or any of these old movies, obviously that was on my mind whenever just the genesis of the band. And to work with them was great. We had pretty high expectations. Then we get up to New York and it's just like a couple guys in a warehouse and a green screen with no money. It's like, oh yeah, that is what Troma is all about. They're about low budget, and they sure enough they've lived up to that. We were just lucky enough to be able to use scenes from a lot of the movies that we grew up on, and all the death scenes too. So I think if you can get the uncensored version of Headbanger Face Rip, that's the better one to watch, because you get to see all the kills.
Now that's amazing. That's just the thing about makes you kind of unique as well. Something that's keeping true, because that as well, it's kind of a true, staying true to yourself, to your sound, to be as well I don't want to say new, but having something different.
Yeah,
that's what
it was fun for us. I mean, we love making music videos. I mean, I've wrote a script for a heavy metal horror movie. It's something I've always wanted to do. So doing a music video is a small version of that. It's a way to get into that world. So it's something I've always been interested in. Obviously, I got there's a lot of movies over here and stuff.
Yeah. There's some. Of course, now I want to ask. Which is one of your favorite movie that you like for the script?
I mean, I always say Phantasm is my favorite movie. It's one that everybody knows. So, I mean, of course, I could dig into the obscurity of all these tapes that are here, but Phantasm's one that spoke to me, and we actually sampled it for Guilty of Being Tight on Hazardous Mutation, and we kind of walk out to that intro. Yeah. So it's just the perfect horror movie, the tone of it, and it's low budget, but it's just a fantastic film.
If you want to go more deep, for the niche kind of feel. you know, like the one that people never heard, and maybe just listen to this interview. Wait,
Yeah,
I'm
it's the
gonna
one I'm
put
writing. That's my favorite. It's called Exit Stage Death. Yeah, I wrote a movie and just trying to get funding. I mean,
because
I've
now
done
that
interviews where I reeled
about
off
this
stuff.
movie.
I love like heavy metal horror movies like
Okay.
Black Roses or Rocktober Blood or Shock 'em Dead. Anything with a band in it, you know,
Yeah.
it's just the two worlds colliding, horror and heavy metal. It's
You
always a recipe for something
yeah.
that I'm into, you know.
You mentioned that you wrote a script, a movie. So let's speak about it. I mean, that what it's about. I mean, for what can you say? Of course, of course.
Yeah, I don't go into the plot because I don't trust anybody, and
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that. That I wrote a script and we're looking to the next step to try to get funding. So I could tell you that I've worked with Norman Cabrera, who did the video for Slime and Punishment and the
Okay.
video for Electrified Brain. So we've become partners in writing, along with one other writing
Yeah.
partner. Jamie Thompson is a old friend of mine. The three of us actually over the pandemic had Zoom meetings, and I had a basic idea and we kind of hashed it out into a full-fledged feature. So that's another thing I use the time. I like when the world shuts down. I finally get time to do stuff that I want to do. Passion
That's
stuff,
that's a good
passion
thing. I
project.
mean, yeah, because that's like a passion that you can as well incorporate, like you said, with the world of music itself. Or the
Yeah,
other
and then and me and Nick had a heavy metal band called Vulture, and we
world.
actually had a lot of songs written for this movie, and that we've had since like 2013. So I mean, this is stuff that I've just been sitting on for a while. So I talk about it, so it's more like a manifestation that maybe it'll actually happen because it's a pretty ambitious project. It
Yeah,
takes a lot to make a movie, you know.
yeah, it's ambitious, but it's not impossible.
No,
So
it's not. It's gonna happen. Even if I just do one, I'll be happy.
yeah, who knows? Maybe it's gonna be,
Yeah,
you know, like a niche, and with the time is growing up, we can
yeah.
be a bigger. But of course,
I have faith in it. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
of course, always keep the goal in front of you. That's,
Oh,
I mean, I think as
everything's in
well,
front. I'm never finished. I'm never satisfied.
I think as well when you started playing with the beginning of Municipal Waste, it was like that, and now you see where you are.
Yeah, it's crazy. Where
Yeah,
the 23 years go, it's. I'm very grateful though. We've done a lot of
yeah.
cool stuff.
Because of course you are like a really inspiration for a lot of teenager,
Well,
and I,
teenagers
yeah,
seem to like it. Yeah, I always
yeah.
say it's for the kids, man.
Yeah, not only for the kids, but you know, when you are a teenager and you start with municipal waste, you have this kind of rebellious age, you know, like, and
Yeah.
that it's good because they you helped a lot of. I think I spoke as well for myself. Because I wasn't, you know, like only just a typical girl with, I don't know, the skateboard and all these things, but just be stick with your own ideologies, move forward, and add that in your mind.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to moving the people, the new generation, the
Yeah.
music, and you a part of that movement for the generation. And I think
Oh,
today as well. I mean, a
that
lot.
makes us really happy. You know, we're
Yeah,
really proud of that. So I
yeah,
appreciate you saying all that. It's very cool.
yeah. And of course, but as well, you did like the soundtrack for a video game, Splatterhouse. Splatterhouse.
Oh yeah, that was I think it maybe Rigorous Vengeance is on that. Maybe from Art
Yeah.
of Party.
So,
I think they just picked the toughest song on the record. We got to
so
bring that song back.
yeah. But I mean, how does it feel to be as well in a splatter video game, if you can say like that? In
It
video
seemed to fit with the band. Yeah, I mean, they just took a song off the record. I didn't think it was initially written for the game.
game.
Hopefully, that
Yeah,
doesn't spoil anyone's idea of it. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, they just it's anything that wants our music that's actually
yeah.
lines up like that. I think we're down with.
Yeah, and of course, always speaking about kind of not collaboration, but can I say like representing as well, something like that. I remember some times ago that I saw you in the commercial of the Vans. That
Oh, the
was,
bands, yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah.
really cool because I mean, I'll start it because as well, it's like an ideology as well, the Vans itself, for like a rebellious, like a teenager, we can say.
Yeah, there was a guy that was running the marketing department for Vans that was
Yeah,
like a punk rock guy, and would ask us to do stuff, and we're like, we all wear Vans, so we're like, yeah, like it's better to work for something that you actually rock and believe in, and
yeah,
they had the idea of doing this parade, and we were actually out there playing like live loud in LA doing that. It was a really fun experience. and
Yeah.
that guy doesn't work for bands sadly anymore. So I mean, I haven't seen them do a lot of stuff with bands recently. But when that guy was working, we got some free shoes and had some fun.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of my favorite as well, and they are really comfortable. It's
I
not.
like the slip-ons. Yeah, I don't like to tie my shoes. I travel a lot, so I like the slip-ons.
Yeah, exactly. But this is not a commercial as well. Just let's point it. Just
No, I don't get anything for saying that. So
we need that. So
we don't roll like that anyway.
yeah, but just speaking about a little bit, because you have
Everyone needs shoes, though. I hope
yeah,
everyone can have shoes.
but as well, the one are comfortable, and
Yeah,
the old school type, it's really good, especially for women. I'm safe to that as
that's
well.
great.
Yeah, there as well. But as you toured a lot, that's for sure. You went all around, most around the world, that's for sure.
My dog's going crazy, sorry.
If you want to join the interview, it's more than welcome.
No, I almost want to bring my dog to the interview, but she's running around. She wants me to play with her. She's a little min pin chihuahua. You won't even be able to see her.
Of course, like saying, just you toured a lot. So if there is some, and of course, that you had a lot of memories about touring. But if you have to pick one or two memories, just let's say the funny part of these memories that really stick in your mind for all these years, it could be even recent. Then
I still think the most fun we ever had was the first time we went to Europe. We went to Europe when 2004. We were still in our early 20s, and when you start a band like this, you never think that that's even a possibility. Like I'm sure it's maybe similar for people from Europe coming to the States. Especially playing music. It's not easy.
No,
and we did it in a DIY way. We bought our own tickets and didn't make any money, but we got free beer everywhere we went, and we were just that was so exciting for us at that point. I mean, we would have been totally happy just to play for beer, and that's what we did.
Yes.
And the beer was endless over there, and we called it Stupid American Spring Break because we were just walking around being idiots everywhere, but somehow we were accepted and invited back. So and we've been coming back ever since, and especially in Italy, we had such a great time. We played like old squats and played at 4 a.m. and it's just pure insanity over there.
Yeah, that's about one cool things about. But I think it's all in Europe, not only Italy. That they drink a lot, especially in Germany. If you want to say that, something like that.
Yeah, and I don't even, man. I'm so over drinking. I don't even care anymore. We kind of did it in with that.
Yeah, but as well when you are like, for example, especially in the hardcore scene, punk hardcore scene, but not like the commercial one, but the underground one. No matter how big you always end up to play in some, I don't know, lost places.
Yes.
That doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter the time. Doesn't matter how many people there are. More underground it is, more the band that became important.
Yeah,
I
love playing those things. If we can get away with it, we'll still go play and squat. If you just
that's a beautiful thing that you're saying.
Make it a secret show or something. We're down to play anywhere.
Because that's as well, like I always imagine Municipal Waste, like of course playing a huge stage, but the core of that, and you are confirming that since the beginning.
Well, now everyone's gonna hit me up to book these shows now, so I better watch what I say.
Yeah.
People still try to book through me anyway, or they write us like everyone's so easily accessed these days. It's hard,
Yeah. And speaking before we speak about the current project. I want to ask about, of course, the municipal waste influences, like in general, like currently in general. Of course, I know about for the other people that maybe don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I always there's so many bands, when we were first starting out, one we always lined up on, at least through me and Tony, was The Accused. We loved The Accused so much when we started. I was into, and still am, I love Razor and like bands like Hallows Eve and Sacrilege from the UK. English Dogs doesn't get enough attention. I love like the heavy metal English Dogs, like To the Ends of the Earth is still like one of my favorite crossover records. I mean, and then there's endless heavy metal, but I always just said I took heavy metal and sped it up. That's all it really ever was.
I like this point.
A lot of new wave of British heavy metal stuff. Yeah.
A t-shirt or a hat with this speed metal. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's endless stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's just a music fan. So
someone as well, but that you're like even a musician that growing up, you were just like looking to for inspiration? It can be not even like an actor. I don't know. I'm a writer. Anyone.
Oh yeah, I
Biggest
mean, I
friend.
loved as a bass player, I always loved Geezer Butler because the bass was loud in Black Sabbath, and then I
Yeah.
found out he wrote the lyrics mostly too. So I mean, he was a big inspiration. Between him and Lemmy, I mean, that's all you needed for bass, like upfront bass in the mix, and their words were like even more inspirational. So I like when someone's like behind the scenes like that, and they're just like a secret genius, like Geezer. Geezer doesn't get enough credit.
Okay, yeah, and of course, I mean, now you're. I said that you're, of course, going on tour a little bit all around. So, if you want, of course, the one that the live show that you can say, where people can see Municipal Waste around the world.
Yeah, we're coming over next week. We're actually going to we're playing Download in UK,
Okay,
Hellfest in France, Grass Pop in Belgium,
okay,
Tons of Rock in Norway. So there's like those 5 festivals, and then a couple
huge
shows
as
in
well.
Germany and Czech Republic and Poland. We have a few club shows too. So yeah, we'll for 2 weeks
So,
in June we'll be over there. So yeah, check out the where you get your music news.
yeah, but I mean that's good because as well, Download Festival, if I'm not if I'm right, played a huge role as well. It was one of the first show you played in Europe.
Yeah, they've always, and it's always on my birthday too. It's always in June, and we're playing the same day as Metallica. So I think a lot of people know who that band is. So that should be good.
Yeah, that's
Probably be a few people there, right?
yeah, I mean there will be a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Then
Yeah, I also
Hellfest is always taking
yeah,
care of us,
as
as
fast
well
as
as Grass Pop. So I mean, those are like,
yeah, they are.
such an honor to be able to play those fests multiple times.
Yeah,
And yeah, we know we're in for a good time.
yeah, that's because no matter how this festival now big they are, the core of the organization is still humble.
It comes from
Yeah,
people probably
sweetheart.
booking DIY shows, and
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
you get 20, 30 of those people together, then you can make a festival.
Yeah, exactly. And
So
there's of course there like you said you're going to touring and all these things, but there's some thoughts about working on a new material. I'm not saying just that you start, but of just a thought of even next year. I don't know.
there always is. I mean, there's always like a tour and then writing and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, so we got some cool ideas. I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, there's always something cooking up. Can't give away
of
too
course.
much.
Yeah, of course.
We're
And
gonna we're gonna reissue some stuff too, so that be on the lookout for that.
and
Some
then
old stuff.
and of course like I told you that you have been and like a kind of an influence for my teenage period. If you would like to give an advice or something like to the today teenage generation.
Yeah, I say keep creating and do your own thing. Like, don't worry about what other people are gonna think, and like if it's gonna fit into the world. Like, do it your way. And sometimes the best thing you ever did is like your first instinct at what you do. Like whether it be writing music or drawing or doing like what you're doing like a podcast. Like, do it your way, and then some way that might stand out to someone. They'll be like, wow, and then might pay it forward, and that'll influence someone else. So yeah,
Yeah,
just don't listen to what's already accepted. Just
yeah,
do it,
exactly.
where the way your heart desires.
Yeah, that's a beautiful advice because if we just don't follow like our instinct, our gut, you just stay sticky with the ordinary life, with the ordinary routine, 9 to 5 job, 9 to 5
Yeah,
that, nine
and,
to five that,
and
and
I
then
never wanted that, and I don't have that. So
uh,
I'm one of the lucky ones. And anyone can do it. Just stick to your gut
exactly.
is a very important instinct.
Yeah, that's how you keep them moving and going to follow your dreams and like as good as well as good things as well. It's not just because sometimes people forget that dreams can be true and really in not only just dreaming, but they can really actually be true. I could never imagine when I was just talking about now. I could imagine when I was 14, 15, listen municipal waste and then being here interviewing you. I couldn't knew that. So just put in your just like your goal in doing that.
Yeah, manifest it, and it does
Yeah,
work. That's why
but
I say things out loud.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Convincing that they are already existing, that you
Yeah,
haven't. that's the manifesting things as well. But honestly, right, I just wish all the best first for the movie, if the script that happens soon and fastly and more than once, a trilogy, five, like, I'm gonna wish all the best with that.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
for the tour, and if I will be on Hellfest, hope to see you at Hellfest, because
Yes.
that's an amazing time and opportunity to me to see Municipal Waste. And thank you so much.
Yeah, come say hi if you're at Hellfest.
Yeah, of course I will do it, and of course, finally I can put like a conversation to that old compilation I had when I was a teenager of,
Yeah,
of hard rock and punk, whatever it was, underground music.
that's great. Well,
That's
keep
really,
going.
thank you so much, Ryan, for the time and
You're welcome.
for the kindness. See you
Yeah.
soon, then, and wish you all the best always. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bring it on! I wanna escape these, but I'm tortured.